This will be a brief introductory video describing how to get NGUI and the layout controls set up. So I've already created a new project with NGUI and layout controls in it. So I'm going to use NGUI 2.7. So I'll just double click that package, and I don't need all the examples, but I'm going to grab Fantasy Atlas and then all the rest of the code. So I'll go ahead and import that. And since I used NGUI 2.7 for this example, I'm going to have to use the layout controls for NGUI 2.7. So I'll double click that, and I'll just take everything. After this is done importing, the first thing I'm going to have to do is set up an NGUI UI. So I can do that by going up to NGUI and opening the UI wizard, adding a layer. I'm going to call it NGUI, and I'll set that to the layer for the UI and hit Create UI. Alright, so now I have my NGUI UI. Now I can just start dragging layout control prefabs up into that panel. The first thing I'm going to use is a layout stacking panel. This will organize the rest of the controls I put as children under it. The first thing I'll use is a layout label, and it will need a font, so I'll grab that from the Fantasy Atlas I imported. And we'll just say this is a title. And then let's bring up another label, and it'll just be some more information. Now let's say we wanted a button. So let's just drag a button, layout button up into that stacking panel. And we have two things to set up this time. A background, which is a sprite, so it needs an atlas, and a sprite. We'll use this bright one here. And then the label, which needs a font. And I'll continue. Now, so that it sets off a little bit from the edges of the background, we'll give it some top and bottom padding. We'll say 4 pixels on the top and the bottom. Now let's say we wanted some option that we could put here. So we'll use a checkbox for that. Drag the layout checkbox prefab up. And we have a sprite for the box, which is the background for the checkbox. So we'll use this dark sprite. And the checkmark itself is also a sprite. So we'll use that bright sprite for that. And then the label. And call it some option. So now these are kind of out of order. So we can go back to the stacking panel and move that checkbox up 1. And that makes the ordering a bit better. We probably also want to center up that title, so we can go into the horizontal alignment for the title and say center. Now, to make this look a little bit more like a window, let's give it a background. So we'll select the stacking panel, and we'll go to NGUI and add a sprite. Give it the atlas, and we'll use this sprite. And we'll want it sliced. And then we also probably want to move it back so that it's behind everything. And then we can go back to our stacking panel and drag the sprite to the background, and it'll automatically resize. Make it look a little bit better, let's set it off from the edges of the screen with a 15 pixel margin. And let's bring the controls in from the edges of the background with a 4 pixel padding. Now, we've got our UI. So I can go ahead and hit play. You can see that we have a nicely formed UI. I can check the checkbox or press the button. That's all you need to do to get started with the layout controls for NGUI. Thanks.